he's dying, and suddenly he's talking. Imagine a man who's spent over 2 decades in silence, a man condemned by a jury, a man known as the Outback Killer. Now Bradley John Murdoch lies in a hospice bed in Alice Springs, his throat cancer pressing him down. The same man who shot Peter Falconio in 2001 and never revealed what he did with his body is now preparing for a final act, one that could shatter the silence. The whispered promise, a deathbed statement, not for the police, not for the court, but for true crime author Robin Bowles, who has spent years cultivating access he never allowed the authorities. Bowles says she knows what's coming. She calls it explosive, and she believes he's laying it all on the line, his darkest secret, possibly the final piece of a bloody puzzle. And here's the catch, he's not talking to police. If he slips away before anyone else hears it or writes it down, the truth might die with him. This isn't just the end of a man, it's potentially the end of one of Australia's longest running mysteries. And it all begins with his very last words. Picture this. It's the evening of July 14th, 2001. Peter Falconio, 28, and his girlfriend Joanne Lees cruise down Australia's desolate Stewart Highway in their orange Combi van. The Outback stretches endlessly under a bruised sky. Suddenly, a white Toyota 4WD drifts alongside. The driver gestures urgently. They pull over. Falconio steps out to check his van, but hours later, he's vanished. Lees is left alone, bound and terrified, her boyfriend gone without a trace. She manages to escape into the scrub and flags down a passing road train 5 hours later, delivering the world's most chilling sauce. He's gone. A global manhunt ignites. Police scour hundreds of square kilometers near Barrow Creek, and the media descends on the lonely scene. But there's no body, no trace of a burial, just silence and sand. Then, in December 2005, the court convicts Bradley John Murdoch, a rugged mechanic and convicted drug runner, of shooting Falconio in the head, abducting Lees, and attempting rape. The jury's conviction rests on damning DNA evidence, Lees's terrified testimony, and grainy CCTV footage placing Murdoch near the crime. But even after the verdict, the single question haunting every headline remains: where is Peter Falconio buried? This was no ordinary murder. It was a memory-haunted scene under the fiercest skies, a missing body carving a wound in public consciousness, and a case that refused to end with a verdict. He stood rock solid for over 24 years. Bradley John Murdoch, rugged, silent, unyielding, served a life sentence for murdering Peter Falconio and assaulting Joanne Lees in 2005. During the trial, he denied everything. No courtroom tears, no confession, no remorse, just cold, calculated denial. He never spoke about Falconio's fate. No remorseful admissions. No "I'm sorry" beside a grave, because there was none. Just desert, red dust, and unanswered questions. And until recently, he had zero incentive to talk. Thanks to the Northern Territories' no body, no parole rule, he couldn't win freedom by confessing. In fact, silence served him better. He'd deny until death, unless something changed. But now, time may have twisted his resolve. He's dying, and silence suddenly feels different. Now meet the woman who might finally pull the truth from his lips. True crime author Robin Bowles. Over the past few years, she's logged nearly 50 hours of conversation with Murdoch, more access than any detective ever got. Bowles isn't a cop. She's not part of the police task force. But she did manage to penetrate the wall of silence Murdoch built around himself. She earned that access the old-fashioned way: persistence, respect, and research, and a promise to give him space to speak. Recently, she told Australian media she knows exactly what's coming. She didn't just call his impending confession explosive, she said she can practically hear his final words falling onto the page. Twice she repeated it. I know what they are, and they will be explosive. Let that sink in. A man who never spoke in court, who refused to hand over a single clue about Falconio's fate, has chosen to share with her, but not with law enforcement, not with anyone official, with her. Cue the red flags for detectives everywhere. Facts are slipping into private notebooks, not police files. It's a crucial pivot because unless those words make it into police hands with details like when, where, how, they may never trigger a body search or rescue plan. In detective terms, this is the tightrope. Someone has the key to the puzzle, but not the authority to turn it in, and the clock is ticking. Bradley Murdoch's deathbed words aren't whispers in the wind, they're taking shape. True crime author Robin Bowles confirms Murdoch has already provided her with a written statement, a message he chose not to share with police, but entrusted to her. Bowles describes it as explosive, insisting, I know what they are, and they will be explosive. Decent.co.uk plus 3news.com.au plus 3nipost.com plus 3. Here's what makes this pivot so tense. Murdoch isn't communicating with detectives, but he is handing his secrets to Bowles. Those secrets likely contain key answers: where Falconio's body lies, how the crime really played out, what Murdoch's mind held in his final days. It's not emotional confessions. Bowles expects cold, hard facts, the kind of details that can reignite a search for answers. Imagine it like this: a detective novel, except the witness has given the final piece to the author, not the police, and the clock is ticking faster than ever. If this statement stays hidden in private hands, the mystery may slip into the dust along with Falconio himself. After his conviction in 2005, Murdoch stuck to a relentless script in court: I'm innocent. He denied every claim, every witness, every piece of damning DNA and CCTV evidence. He stonewalled. No tearful confessions, no whispered regrets, no clue about Falconio's fate. Not a single detail on where the body might be hidden. Now, as death approaches, all that courtroom bravado shatters. Stark truth may be his next move. Bowles, who has seen hints of his final message, believes he's finally drafting the when, where, and how of what really happened on that night in the desert. She says it's not about emotion, it's about facts. If he lays out the scene how Falconio was killed, where Murdoch left him, these aren't dramatic musings. They're concrete puzzle pieces that can lead investigators to Falconio's remains for the first time. This is the moment where fiction meets reality, the final act of a man who played by courtroom rules, but may now give police exactly what they've waited 24 years to hear. Time isn't just running out, it's almost gone. Bradley John Murdoch is dying. He's no longer behind bars, but in a hospital bed in Alice Springs, his body failing under the weight of terminal throat cancer. Once a towering figure in court, now he's described as frail, barely holding on. The guards have stepped back. The palliative nurses have stepped in, and everyone knows this is the end game. But the mystery still hangs in the air like desert heat. Where is Peter Falconio? Northern Territory Police have now raised the reward to $500,000, a desperate final push for anyone who might know where Falconio's remains were buried. They're not banking on Murdoch. He's refused every interview, every chance to cooperate. Even now, in his final days, he's kept his silence locked down. The only lead left? His final words entrusted not to police, but to a writer. Robin Bowles holds the only known copy of what might be Murdoch's deathbed confession. She said it's explosive, but if he dies and no one steps forward with that information, if no one hands over what's buried in that letter, the truth dies too. Tick, tick, tick. There's no more waiting. Either the secret comes out now or it's gone forever. This isn't just about justice anymore. It's about money. A lot of it. Northern Territory police have thrown everything they've got onto the table, $500,000 for one answer. Where is Peter Falconio's body? This is the highest reward ever offered in the case. A last-ditch move to shake the truth loose before Murdoch dies. But this isn't aimed at the public. It's not for Outback psychics or amateur sleuths. This is a tactical shot fired straight at Murdoch's inner circle, the lawyer he trusts, the nurse who changes his bedding, maybe even the writer he's whispering to. Because police know this much, he won't talk to them. He's refused every official approach, even now, with hours left on the clock. But maybe, just maybe, someone around him has heard something. And with $500,000 on the line, silence suddenly becomes expensive. This is the gamble. If Murdoch's final words hold the key, someone else might hold the copy. All it takes is one person to step forward, one phone call, one voice. And if no one does, then that 500,000 turns to dust, and Peter Falconio stays lost forever. Here's the quiet fear nobody wants to say out loud. What if Murdoch doesn't actually remember where he buried Peter Falconio? Former lead investigator Colleen Gwynn, who spent years chasing this case through the Australian outback, believes it's possible. In her own words, he may have forgotten exactly where he disposed of the body. Think about it. The night of the murder was chaos. Falconio vanishes. Joanne Lees escapes. Murdoch panics. He's dragging a body through the dark, possibly under pressure, possibly high, maybe rushed, maybe scared. And that night becomes a blur. Now fast forward 24 years. Add cancer, add the fog of age and prison walls. Murdoch may be writing down a location, but what if that location is wrong? What if it's guesswork? Or worse, deliberate misdirection to preserve the legend he's carried all this time. A dying man might want to unburden himself, but if he's lost the truth, then we're chasing smoke. And Peter Falconio stays where he's always been, out there under red dust, with no one left who truly knows where. This is the part that keeps detectives up at night. What if Bradley Murdoch dies before the truth gets out? Police have tried. They've approached him again and again, even in these final days. But Murdoch has refused to talk. No statement to police. No final confession under oath. Just silence. And the only person who claims to hold his last words. A writer, not a cop, not a lawyer, not a judge. Robin Bowles. If Murdoch gave her a letter and he dies before police see it, everything changes. Because once he's gone, it becomes just a document. No way to verify, no chance to question, no follow-up. Worse, that letter could disappear. She might publish it, she might hold it, she might be legally blocked from releasing it. And even if it's released, is it enough to launch a search? No body, no location, no voice to confirm. Just a dead man's words and a desert full of ghosts. 24 years, one missing body, one dying killer, and now one final chance. This isn't just a true crime story. This is a race against silence. Bradley Murdoch may take the truth to his grave, or he may finally hand over the key. If that letter sees daylight, if anyone steps forward, it could end one of Australia's most haunting mysteries. But if not, then Peter Falconio stays lost, and justice once again dies in the dust. Follow this story, because when the silence finally breaks, we'll be there.